All began on a Tuesday, the day that changed my life forever. I remember that day because it was a regular day, and I was enjoying my favorite drink, orange juice, when my phone rang. My childhood best friend and business partner of 22 years, Mark, asked me to meet him in the conference room. I had no idea that our long friendship and business relationship would end that day. I entered the conference room, pleased to see my old friend. However, I was shocked seeing two strange lawyers and my best friend, Mark, waiting for me. Something was not right, and my uneasiness grew when Mark did not look at me in the eye. He greeted me formally and told me that he wanted to discuss something essential. Mark pushed a file in front of me, and I realized with horror that the file contained a partnership agreement. According to the document, I was not Harris and Sullivan Logistics' partner, and his signature stated that I was only an investor. Mark, this is not possible. Do you realize what you are saying? Something was terribly wrong, and I could hardly believe my ears. We built this company together, and you cannot just kick me off. I am afraid, Robert, but you have no choice, said Mark cold-bloodedly. This document is legally binding, and you will not be considered our partner anymore. You have no ownership rights, and you will officially be removed from all our files and records this week. I was shocked beyond belief and speechless. How could this be happening? After 22 years of hard work, sacrifices, and sleepless nights, all of it was for nothing. Emily warned me about Mark's attitude lately, but I did not take her words seriously. I had no idea that my best friend and business partner of 22 years would betray me. I left that conference room, and tears of anger and disappointment streamed down my face. The security guards escorted me out, and I looked at the building for the last time in disbelief. I could not believe that this was all happening. I still had my orange juice on the desk, but it seemed like I would never taste it again. Nevertheless, I would not let this be the end of my life. I still had one chance to save my company and prove to Mark that he was not right. I went back home and told my wife everything that had happened. Robert, you kept all the documents concerning the company's early days at our home, said Emily. Do you remember your diaries and old emails? You were sentimental about those years and kept all the old letters and journals in your study. I think it is there, and it might help you. She was right. The old diaries and emails were there in the study among the old boxes, covered with dust. I went to the study and opened the old cardboard boxes, going through dozens of letters and journals. I got emotional seeing all those old memories, and tears of happiness, sorrow, and tears of joy fell down my cheeks. All of that was so long ago, and I hardly remembered those times. I was a young man back then, and I had dreams and hopes to make my own business one day. With Mark's help and our joint efforts, our ideas and plans became reality. I took out my old laptop and turned it on. I remembered the old emails I sent to Mark back then and decided to see if they were still there. Luckily, they were. There were hundreds of them, and all of them mentioned our equal partnership, saying that Mark and Robert were equal partners and owners of Harris and Sullivan Logistics. I kept searching day and night and found old emails concerning various talks with Mark. All of them mentioned our partnership, and he referred to me as his equal partner and brother. However, I needed more strong evidence against my old friend and business partner to win the court hearing. The only other person I knew at the company was Sarah, my assistant of 12 years. She was the only other person at the company I trusted entirely, and she knew it. She told me that she had some old copies of our registration documents, in case we needed them for some reason. The documents had proof of our original partnership, and Mark tried to get rid of them. However, Sarah had copies of them, as she suspected he would do something like that. Sarah came to my house that night with a flash drive, and all the old documents were scanned in high resolution. When I saw those documents, I felt overwhelmed with joy and a sense of victory. In the morning, Sarah came to my house again and brought me some old evidence against him. I was grateful to her for her help and support during those hard times. I spent the night preparing my statement for the court hearing the next day. I wanted to prove that Mark had lied about our partnership agreement, and that was the only way to win the hearing. The evidence I had found was strong, and I had no doubt that I would win. However, I did not plan on doing anything rash. I wanted revenge against Mark, but I would wait. I knew the right time would come, and I did not want to ruin everything by doing something stupid and unplanned. On the day of the court hearing, I wore my best navy suit to the courtroom and saw Emily in the audience. All the other people in the audience were strangers to me, but Emily was like family to me. Across from me, I saw Mark and his lawyers dressed in all black. They were arguing with the judge, insisting that Mark did not lie and that I was just an investor with no rights to the company. The judge listened to them carefully, and I knew that I had to do something fast. I went to the stand, and the judge asked me what the dispute was about. I told him that Mark and I started the company together 22 years ago, and everything changed when he pushed that document in front of me that morning. I was trying to convince the judge to rule in my favor, but I knew that I needed evidence to do that. I needed solid evidence that could not be refuted or denied by Mark and his lawyers. I handed the judge my old diaries, telling him that they contained all the details concerning our partnership. He read through them and looked at me skeptically. "These are your words in handwriting, Mr. Harris. Is this real?" he asked. I nodded, showing him the emails and old letters I had found concerning our partnership and equality. Once again, the judge examined the documents and looked at me in disbelief. "These all say that you and Mr. Sullivan were equal partners in the company," said the judge. "Do you have any other evidence besides this?" I was about to say yes, when it was Sarah's turn to testify against Mark. She gave the judge copies of our old registration documents concerning our original partnership agreement and equality. She told him that she suspected Mark of doing something like this, and made copies of all the documents in case something happened. The judge looked at the documents and compared them to the ones Mark submitted to the court. He examined all the papers and turned to look at Mark. "These documents are not real, Mr. Sullivan." I felt relieved seeing Mark's horrified face. "Why did you forge these documents, Mr. Sullivan?" asked my lawyer. Mark stuttered for a while, telling him that he had nothing to do with the forgeries. He blamed me, saying that I was trying to make false accusations against him, and that I was just an investor with no rights to the company. "This is all a lie," he continued. "Mr. Sullivan, everything you are saying is a lie," shouted the judge. He had no more evidence to hide, and Mark could no longer deny it. The judge gave his ruling, stating that Mark's documents were fake, and Robert Harris was indeed 50% owner of Harris and Sullivan Logistics. He transferred full ownership of the company to me, and Mark's face fell in horror seeing that there was no more evidence to hide the truth. The guards took Mark away in handcuffs, and his lawyers left silently. Emily gave me a big hug, making me feel happy and safe. She was always there for me, and I was grateful for her support. The court's ruling was surprising, and I was thrilled to win the case. Nevertheless, I felt as if something terrible had happened in my life that would affect the rest of my days. Hearing the court's final decision brought mixed feelings of victory and defeat, because my 22-year-long friendship with Mark was over. Mark faced criminal charges for forging documents, and his family was devastated by the ruling. I felt incredibly sorry for his wife and children, but I could not bring myself to feel sorry for Mark. It was the end of our friendship and business relationship. I was a changed man, and I knew that no one would ever betray me again. It was strange to walk back into Harris and Sullivan Logistics for the first time since that fateful day, and the employees greeted me with cheers and applause. They were happy to see me and tell me that they always supported me and believed in me. The workers welcomed me back like an old friend, and I was incredibly grateful to them. Sarah was the first to run up to me and give me a big hug. She was so emotional seeing me again, and I promised to give her a raise and promotion for her loyal service and bravery. I told the employees that honesty and integrity were vital, and I would make sure they knew that they always had my support. Over the next few weeks, I met with all the workers individually and talked to them about my vision for the company. I made it clear that honesty and transparency were essential and would make our business successful. I changed the company's name to Harris Logistics and told them that it was time for new beginnings. Emily reminded me that I handled everything well and that I had not lost my composure despite the difficult circumstances. In the end, it was all worth it to see that the workers believed in me and supported me. The long nights and sleepless days paid off, and I felt immense satisfaction seeing my employees' happiness and gratitude. However, the true test of my character came when I received a letter from Mark in jail asking for forgiveness. For all the years of friendship and betrayal, Mark sent me a letter expressing remorse for his actions and asking for forgiveness. I felt pity for him, seeing how much pain and devastation his actions had caused not only for me, but for his family and employees. It was hard to forgive him, but I knew I had to move on and leave all the pain and sadness behind. I responded to his letter saying that I forgave him and I wished him well, hoping that he would be a better man in the future.